Get out your feelings. Listen to the message of your brother and understand now nations, tribes, federally recognized and not. You can empower your people and take care of them the way you want through your own efforts.
Wow. Chief, you've been great. I only have a few more questions for you, but yes, I appreciate you greatly. Again, you brought out all the receipts. There's one book in particular, Stub Entries to Indents, Issued in Payment, Claims Against South Carolina, Growing Out of the Revolution. If you can you please break down what this book is and also what it means historically?
So y'all heard him say claims. That's exactly what these is. So Stub Entries to Indents, Issued in Payment of Claims Against South Carolina, Growing Out of the Revolution. All right, so books of G through H. This is one series of books. These are basically exactly what it is, claims. So inside of this, you will have a young man, just for example, might name Billy, who went before the Lord proprietors to make a claim saying that I was put into indentured servitude. I was falsely put into servitude and I want my freedom as I am a Native American.
Right.
These are historical documents that you can find in this one actually comes out of South Carolina Library, but these are books that highlight the stories of each state. Each state has books like this, and they're in their interaction between their Lord proprietors or the governing body that talks about who they interacted with, not just Indians, European settlers and whatnot, what happened, whether they felt like they was wronged. A lot of Europeans went there and say, hey, I lost a slave and this slave is over here staying with this other person and I want my slave back, and they have to produce paperwork and documents. But this is historical narratives of what our people went through, whether you're white or black. These are documents that tells you what the real history is. And a lot of times these documents are used for other authors to use and write and research and reference. Right? But these are very important documents because a lot of times you see your ancestors in here and that you didn't know you had, but they're in a certain region. Case in point, I know that there's a lot of Frasers. We have Frasers within our tribe. They talk about the Frasers. Okay? Specifically, certain Frasers who were European descent that mixed in with the Yamassee Indian tribe. You get what I'm saying? So we have to start taking and utilizing these resources and deep diving. And you can find these documents online. However, but what I did find out as well when I went to Washington and I sat with some people was a lot of this stuff is not accessible either. There is documents that you can't find in the library that they have not digitized. And that was crazy. Nor do they want you taking pictures of it either. So you can't go in there. And when I say powerful documents, when I say pieces of the puzzle, like I said in the last interview, there's a picture that's being painted and they got little pieces of the puzzle that if we align these pieces, you'll get the big picture. When you start reading these documents in the archives, when you go down to Washington and you go and get your little ID and whatnot, and you show, they don't want you taking photographs of it. You can't use your phones and they aren't digitized. And there's a reason behind that. But once you read it, you can't unread it.
That's right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes,
that's
sir.
When you take your book, your notepad, you write down the reference, the page, the source, and then you quote.
Come on.
And you quote and you empower yourself. And it just depends on what you want to do and how you want to empower yourself with information.
Yes, sir.
But again, there is so much that supports who we are, our identity. And a lot of this, again, will end a lot of these arguments that those who identify as freedmen have. Now, again, I've made it. And, most of the time when we're doing podcasts and interviews, we're simplifying it for everybody. And it seems cut and dry. And people, it's not that cut and dry. People really don't want to accept it. But everything we did, we showed documentation this time. I bought the books out so you can read it.
And you can't argue that.
You can't argue it.
Yes, sir.
But we always, like I said before, we want to go back to what he has given us and the information he's given us. And that's a lot of time what we have in conversation when I'm doing TikToks and I'm doing different things like that. I'm having to have that argument with the African brothers and sisters and they're like, well, how would you? And they'll take it to a whole nother level. Well, what were you called back in 1300? I don't know what we was called back in. I can't pull up. I wasn't there. All I'm saying is understand that all the information we are receiving, my brothers and sisters, come from the Europeans. You're saying don't trust them, but then you're utilizing their resources. And what I'm saying is that as authors, who I have so much respect for, like Denise Bossy, who was not fearful or scared to rewrite the Yamassee Indian tribe and how we do exist.
Yeah.
Chester B. Prater, Stephen Hahn. These are people who obviously they found that whatever they was reading that extinguished our existence was false. And now what they did was they realized there were so many different supporting documents from so many different other people that was never referenced that will tell you the Yamassee didn't die. They was right here. When they started putting pen to pad and using common sense, it was like, oh, wow. How they couldn't be extinct because they're called Seminoles.
Wow.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes,
So
sir.
what I'm saying to my brothers and sisters who are Pan-African and they want to accept that again, if that's your story, if you have proven your lineage and you know that your people come, as a matter of fact, I'll do one better for you. Senator Scott, his right-hand man, he's like a father to him, Al Jenkins, prove he's from Africa. He identifies as Gullah Geechee and has proven his bloodline to be from Africa. There's nothing I can say to that, man.
Right.
I can congratulate him because he can stand on that.
Yeah.
But if you can't, do some more research and find out where you come from. Don't argue a blanket statement and you haven't done the research. And I'm asking these brothers and sisters, where's your lineage? Before you argue the Africa theory, show me you're from Africa. Because other than that, that's cultural appropriation as well from you. You're saying you're something you're not. Prove it. And don't be mad at me because I'm telling you, just have a little common sense. And honor your ancestors.
Yeah. Honor thy mother and thy father. Yeah.
So that their days will be long.
Yeah. Wow. Come on now, Chief. I enjoyed this one. Part 3 is needed because I'm seeing certain lines right here that next time I got to ask you, are Black and historically used more in Negro? So I have 1,000 more questions. Gullah Geechee, Hilton Head. We're going to talk about that way more at length. But very last question for you, brother.
Yes.
During this pivotal time, what does the future of our people look like, in your opinion?
I'll be honest with you. I think we have a bright, sunshiny day and existence, but understand that rain, as people like to say, when it rains, it pours, and rain makes things grow. Mm-hmm. If we stop looking at everything that we've been through and what we don't have and get past that and make a progressive choice to move forward, all we have is better days. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
When the hurricanes came, all the weakest trees that existed fell. Yeah. All those that stood are the strongest. Strength comes from constant change, being swayed back and forth. The more wind pushes you in a storm, the more you adjust to keep your balance. I like to tell people that if you're not changing, you're dead mentally or physically. Nothing that doesn't change is alive. So if we're not changing who we are spiritually, mentally, the way we are, if we're comfortable in our lives, young ladies, young men, if you're comfortable being this slave bee and getting money and ... I promise you, if you can live another 5-10 years from now, that will change, because know what will change? Who you are as a mother when you become one.
Yeah.
Your body will change based on your eating habits. Your thought process will change based on the men that you deal with and what they teach you in life lessons. And you have 2 options. You could be a disgruntled person, male or female, or you can take those lessons and move forward to make a better future for yourself and your children. But being optimistic, I say we have nothing but brighter days because we've already been through it all. We've been through a disease. We've been through the disease of lack of knowing who I am, lack of self, knowledge of self.
Yes, sir.
We've been through disrespect and turmoil. The only thing I'm asking our women to do is support us as warriors, because we are raised by women. We're born of women. Everybody's born of women. Stop giving up on your man. We're still your children. We're still your children. And in order for us to move forward and make a brighter future for you, Black, white, Hispanic, however you want to identify, you got to support us and inspire us. And that's the only rule I've ever given my wife. Give me a path that I can focus on, because I'm going to get it. That's what men are. We're goal oriented.
Yeah.
No matter what it is. You know that. I'm not, you're a man, you know. Oh, that woman, I want her. Oh, watch this. You ain't my style. You ain't my, okay. 3 years later, we get married. Right? So women, take that energy and help us focus. But to go back to your question, there's nothing but brighter days for us.
Yes, sir.
Nothing but brighter days.